We're out here with another Summit Register with Griff, co-founder and CEO of Combat Flip Flops. Thanks for joining us. It's been a fun day poking around the woods, looking for a great spot for bear hunting with Griff.
And, it's been a little bit of an adventure.
A little bit.
You probably haven't had to work so hard endured so much pain for an interview, but
I love it.
You're a trooper.
Yeah, I love it. We always ask, what are your core values?
Core values are persistence, creativity, and respect. You're coming from the ranger community, persistence wears down resistance, and if you just work at something long enough, you're gonna make it happen. Creativity, all the greatest leaps in humanity have come in a creative moment, whether that's in medicine or in science or in the arts, it all happens in creativity. And then respect is just respecting the environment, respecting people around you, respecting the choices of others. So if you're just persistent, stay after things. If you're creative, you take those leaps, and if you're respectful of others, they'll tend to respect you back and let you be on your way.
What's your philosophy for leading?
I've done just a lot of different varieties in leadership, from going to the military academy at West Point, to being in the Ranger Regiment, to being in the corporate world. And so I've seen all different styles of leadership, but I think, my style of it is the dad that stands on the high dive with their son for an absurdly long amount of time until they jump off. Yeah. And I love the line, one man can do, or woman can do, another can do. So it doesn't have to be pretty. The first time you do it, first time Greg Louganis jumped off a high dive, it probably wasn't, a perfect 10, but he did it.
Yeah.
And so that's just my philosophy in leadership is like I fail a ton. I fail often. I'll do a lot of things ugly, but I do it, and then I try to get better, and I show that example to the people that I work with or lead and say, I know you're scared, I know this is uncomfortable, but you just got to do it. I really don't care if it's pretty or not. And then giving people that confidence to do that, and then that encourages them to take that on themselves and then pass that on to others. That's just my philosophy of leadership, is just being patient and pushing them off if you have to.
You have any advice? I think that's a hard thing for leaders to do when they have the bottom line or all the goals or KPIs out there. How do you be patient when you have all those things that have to get done?
Nature never hurries, but it always gets the job done.
That's true.
And I think a lot of people are impatient because they lack planning on their own behalf. I know that when I get impatient, it's because I failed to do something probably one day, 1 week, 1 month ago that I probably should have done that would have made things smoother for myself. So whenever I find myself getting rushed or impatient, I look back at where I failed. And there is no reason through that you should be in an impatient moment, because you should have had proper planning. You should have communicated correctly to your team. You should have resourced them with everything they need to be successful, so that way they can do it at a reasonable pace. And nobody's creative and at their best when they're stressed. And if you want good profits, if you want a good bottom line, then you need a team operating at full capacity, and nobody operates at full capacity under duress.
Yeah.
So I always take a look back at yourself in those moments and go, all right, where did I fail in creating the situation that led to this rush? So
a good leader points back at themselves when things are going south.
Yeah.
That's good advice. So we're out poking around in briar bushes and bushwhacking and balancing on logs. It's great. What does being outdoors do for you as a person, as a leader?
Being outdoors, it just resets me. Again, that line of nature never hurries, but it always gets the job done. Mm-hmm. We just tried to walk through an area where I could literally just stroll through 2 years ago, and now it's 10 feet tall, 50 feet deep of blackberries that takes a lot of work to get through.
Yeah. And
nature didn't hurry getting there. It just slowly took its time, and it created that barrier for us. And it's just always a constant reminder of always be pushing forward, always be growing, always be reaching for the sun, always growing like that. And to take leadership over time, it's I hated when people used to say this to me, but it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
I freaking hate that line. I can't stand it, but it's the truth. And it's just, you get up every day, put in your time, do the things that are going to move you forward as a leader, but you're not going to be there tomorrow. You're probably not going to be there in 10 years. It's probably going to take you 20, but as long as you're progressing every day, that's all that really matters. So just take your time, get there, do it smooth. And the old mantra of slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Love it.
And it really pays off like it does.
So true. Have you learned any lessons that have really stuck with you, skiing and hunting and being out here?
As far as being in the outdoors and being successful in the outdoors, and I've done a lot of mountaineering, backcountry skiing, hunting. And it sounds so odd, but being meticulous about your gear.
Yeah.
Like you take care of your gear takes care of you, and it's always, where's your gear? Where's it at? Where's it supposed to be? Don't leave anything out. Don't step on your gear. Take care of it. And that, for lack of a better term, obsessive compulsive nature with being in the backcountry, it makes you successful. Like you could be one carabiner away from finishing your pitch, but because you dropped it or you carried it somewhere, like you're stuck, you're done.
Yeah.
You just spent weeks of planning and you lost it because of one thing that you didn't take care of. And I have learned that through failure so many times in the outdoors, hunting and fishing and climbing, that it's just, you really got to make sure your gear's tight. And a ranger buddy of mine says this all the time, but if you're always ready, you never have to get ready. And so just always keeping my life in that way. And if your personal life is screwed up, you're not going to be good in business life. So is your bed made? Whatever Admiral says that, McCraven, I think he says, make your bed.
Make your bed.
Make your bed. Is your kitchen clean? Is your fridge full? Are your finances straight? Is your laundry done? And it sounds so stupid, but it's all of that stuff that sets the precedent for how you're going to perform at work.
Yeah.
And if you're taking care of yourself like that, then your business is going to run like that. It's going to run clean and organized. And you're going to be, what I do notice is when you do that, when you are meticulous about your gear and you keep it maintained and you keep it clean, it helps you identify the flaws so much easier. That, we could be talking about that last carabiner that you were on your last day and you inspected because everything was just right dress, and all of a sudden there's a fault. You noticed a crack in it.
Yeah.
And you were actually able to fix that before you went out on the mountain, which would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
All of those things that just happened. So it's just maintaining your gear.
Yeah. It's great.
And it's, people joke about it, and I'm somewhat of a hippie, but crystals, I think, it come from nature, and the only difference between a crystal and a rock is chemically they're the same thing. The only thing, crystals, they just have their structure in a row.
Yeah.
And the line that I always give people, and like why I usually give crystals or I have them around, is like, well, when your shit's in a row, you look better and you're worth more.
Yeah.
And so it just goes all the way back to keeping your gear meticulously maintained, is because it makes you successful on your mission. You look cleaner, you're worth more, all of those things. And it's just, that's really what I learned in the outdoors, is just maintain your gear, always be prepared. Yeah, and it's tough to start. I mean, all of us were adults. By the time you're 35, 90% of the things that you do on a daily basis are habit.
Yeah.
And if you have a habit of like not making your bed, that's a while to break.
Yeah.
But once you start getting into it, and once you push through that daily routine, you're going to start getting there, and then you're going to start noticing other things start falling in line.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not perfect.
No one is.
We're just recovering from elk season.
Yeah.
So my house was trashed because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
But all my hunting gear was perfect. My truck was lined out and everything was good, and we were successful this year elk hunting. But but you get back, and then you clean your stuff up and you get back at it.
Yeah. So we talk about flow a lot at Caring Leadership, and how we think it's easier to access out here. Is that something you've noticed?
I'm in the constant hunt of it. It's where you're devoid of all space and time. And everything just kind of goes, and you can hear your heartbeat, you can feel it, and you feel every sense that's in your body. And I became addicted to it in the military. I didn't know it at the time, because flow really wasn't a thing in the early 2000s,
Right.
and then science started coming out around it. And then I went through this standard struggles that a lot of guys did transitioning, and I found that when I was ripping on my mountain bike, ripping on skis, or hunting, when I was in the moment, I was happy. Like I was getting that fix that I needed. And then people started talking about flow, and it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You have to get it. And you can find it mountain climbing, you can find it mountain biking. Like I recently picked up skydiving, and that's where I find it in skydiving. But it's one of those things where if you feel like you've been missing something in your life for a long period of time, but you've had moments of clarity, whether it's in an outdoor activity or whatever, like you're missing flow.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. You're missing flow, and you need to dedicate the time to get back into that flow, because it resets your system, and it allows you to go back and be more persistent over time in your endeavors. It allows you to be more creative. It gets a good reset, and it makes you respect your body. It makes you respect your diet, or it makes you respect others around you, because you're not coming from that place of lack on the inside, and then you can start giving back to others.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll hire you for publicity if you want, but I think you've got other things going on.
No, you hit me up anytime.
Yeah.
You find us, everything's at combatflipflops.com, and if you want to contact me directly, it's Instagram, combatflipflops.griff, Griff.
Awesome.
Easy.
One piece of advice for a leader at any level who wants to become more excellent.
If you don't, I'd say, if you don't go within, you go without. You need to be looking at yourself first before you're pointing the finger at anybody else.
Succinct. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for coming out. I think we're going to go poke around a little bit more and see what we see. So
And try to access that terrain without blackberries killing us.
I mean, the blackberries, they're a nice accident too. I've been enjoying them.
So. Hearing a squirrel, maybe something might be walking down right now. It's either that or he's just barking at us.
All right.
Thanks a lot, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank
Thanks
you.
for spending the time today, and best of luck, everybody.